Today we will be discussing Del Norte Credit Union, also known as Los Alamos Credit Union, which is in support for the Los Alamos National Laboratory established in 1943. This presentation was brought to you by Laura Clark and Jared Gonzalez. What is Del Norte Credit Union? Del Norte Credit Union is a bank that invests in its members who work in the national laboratories. It was established in 1954 and it is the sixth largest credit union in New Mexico. It has over 55,000 members. I never knew or understood what a credit union was until I got to college. But what credit unions are is that they are nonprofit, educational, networking banks that help support the community in many different ways. The Del Norte Credit Union provides support to the national programs such as security, nuclear defense, international space, nuclear testing, and weaponized development. Now, to be a member of the Del Norte Credit Union, it only takes two things. Membership restrictions for the Del Norte Credit Union consist of the individual being involved in the national laboratory as an employee or a family member of an associate of the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Countries for expansion are limitless. Due to laboratories existing in almost all countries already, as you can see, we have listed a few possible places to open a Del Norte Credit Union. On the right are the countries that are possible to enter with our current regulations of our credit union in scientific advancement. We must enter into a place that is in support of what we believe in and what we are trying to do. Expanding into countries that are in the works of innovation and development is our best bet for our views and our investment. Expanding into another country brings pros and cons into play. Some pros of the Del Norte Credit Union expanding into another country is scientific support throughout the world and throughout that local area because we're expanding that thought and that process of that innovation. It focuses on communities and help build environments in the communities. Friendliness and accessibility is also a factor when coming with the credit union because being a member of a credit union is like being a member of a family. It's a democracy. Everything is better, and it goes to support what the community is trying to do. Now, whenever there is pros, there's always cons. And for cons of expansion as a credit union, it's hard to expand into undeveloped countries because as a credit union, you need cash flow. You need money. And if there's no money there, it's hard to create a business that relies on cash flow. There are limited branches and ATMs in those environments, and they offer fewer services. So as a credit union, we're not able to do McDonald's and invest, or we're not able to invest or help or give out loans to Amazon or anything like that because it's so local and small time. Some credit unions aren't even insured. Del Norte Credit Union is insured by the federal government up to $250,000, but some are not. Credit unions also have membership requirements, such do banks. The feasibility of our entry comes in a factor of what we're trying to do and where we're trying to do it. A credit union that is in support of the National Laboratory and in support of advancements of science, technology, and nuclear design, it needs two things. It needs a country that's lacking in science development but has capital to provide money and investors to develop and innovate in that area. So we're supplying where there is demand. Another place would be is to go into a place that is already trying to develop in science and innovation and nuclear weapons and national laboratories that are trying to develop and get bigger. Those places we could also enter into. Being able to enter into communities and different areas that are already developed in scientific innovation allows us to advance even more and allows us to get a second set of eyes and a second set of hands on this innovation to create more of an investment in a greater project, to create greater technologies and greater leaps forward into the future. Doing that still, we have to understand the financial leeways that we can't go in the middle of downtown and create a credit union right there. Because of our local, small Los Alamos, New Mexico environment, we don't have the funds and finance to purchase a building down there. So we'd have to look at outskirts of communities that have area for laboratories to do tests and experiments. Those are the places that we're trying to get at. Understanding our geographical location, understanding our target market, and understanding where our values are looked at the most and wanted. You have to be wanted in an area to succeed, especially as a credit union relying on consumers, cash, banks, and money to support our values and the community as a whole. Starting Del Norte Credit Union in countries like Iran, Australia, and Poland, this would promote growth in local communities. Establishing Del Norte would also put money back into the local communities with scholarships and funds. Would it work? Looking at it in two ways, with a half glass full and a half glass empty, it would work because it creates allies for the United States, establishes Del Norte Credit Union with a global gap, and expanding into other reaches to try and get the United States developed and scientifically advanced like the Eastern Hemisphere. It would definitely help more financial stability in the local communities, helping bring people together all behind one issue and one cause to create advancements. And another reason why it wouldn't work would be countries like Iran, which could feel like the United States is encroaching in areas of science and technology that they could be gaining, and that we're doing it for ourselves. We have to understand the culture that we dive into. Community size would not support a member-driven bank. It just wouldn't. And large commercial loans are not affordable for small credit unions like Del Norte. So there's so many factors weighing in, just like the pros and the cons. Political risk of expanding into other countries for support of scientific advancement is something that the United States wouldn't look at as something that they're supportive of, unless it was someone that is an ally to us. Going into another country that we are not friends with to make scientific advancements leads to one thing in the government's mind, and that would be treason. When expanding, you must take in effect the support you have through the government of the country you're expanding into and the country that you already developed. Political risk of expansion brings efforts into interest rates, fluctuating interest rates that happen globally. They can hurt credit unions, capital, and earnings. Rising interest rates can increase pressure to increase dividend rates on share product. A formal institution are those that are created with the intention of governing human behavior. Formal institutions do not have to have the force of law at their disposal. The United States Congress, housed in the Capitol building, is one example of a formal institution. Del Norte Credit Union is a formal institution. They are nonprofit. They have nothing to gain or lose because they do not affect religion, customs, beliefs, or cultural traditions. The plan for entry and how to implement for Del Norte Credit Union is about the demographics and making sure that we're meeting the needs in the local community. We have to realize that where the supply of local labs are, by adding Del Norte Credit Union in that community can help support the labs in that area. Population in the area that the credit union will be established is also important to bring the community together and for the same effort of technological advancements. Infrastructure is through the facility for the credit union to be housed in, which would be under a leased building, which usually is under public or federal property. The number of employees for the business is also a factor, just like bank tellers at the front. Equipment to run the bank successfully, as well with vaults and different things to go in and out, such as drive-thrus and cameras and alarm systems. The market is also an aspect that we have to look at for implementation. Local employees of labs that are support of science is an important thing to look at. Technology, engineering, and math, the STEM acronym. Family members of employees who work for the labs is also in the market of where we locate our credit union, because there's only two ways to be a member through our regulations and restrictions. If we have no employees of that laboratory in our area, there's no point in having the credit union because we'll have no members. The geographical implementation between Iran, Australia, or Poland, where our idea that we think we can expand into, would be Tehran, Iran, which has a population of 8.7 million people. The commercial district, as this is where a lot of business takes place, that is where we'd like to be. Australia, Sydney, Australia, and as a matter of fact, of 5.3 million people. We want this central business district because the indoor shopping malls and shopping areas brings a lot of foot traffic through that area. In Poland, we would look at the city of Warsaw with a population of 1.8 million people. The reason why we have to look at the population is due to the fact of we need investments, we need investors, and we need communities to come together, and the only way to have that is through people. If we want to expand, which is the first expansion of Del Norte Credit Union, we have to go somewhere where we know we're going to be successful. We cannot take a huge risk on our first expansion. Now, if we have 2 or 3 different credit unions that are already expanded, then we can take our fourth or fifth building and fourth or fifth expansion into somewhere that's a little more risky. But right now, these are our places that we believe that it would work for scientific development and innovation in communities. The Del Norte Credit Union is a very small credit union, and in order to expand into Iran, Australia, or Poland, we would definitely have to partner with another company, with another investor, or with another credit union that is in support of the same thing. Usually, we would like to partner with a local lab in those areas, but financial investors would do just the job. Partnering will provide more financial backing. It will help offer members additional benefits, maybe even discounts. Advertisements within the labs for a bank specifically supporting employees and their families will gain members for our community. Adjustments that need to be made in the new setting of our credit union is really just providing an incentive to sign up as a members, giving out free promotives and gifts and discounts to get things going would be something that would help Los Alamos Credit Union right now. Trying into other labs and other credit unions and other local communities to build a network with other people is also a great thing. Allowing our members to transfer funds in and out of Del Norte Credit Union electronically to and from other banks would allow more diversibility between other communities and other platforms to allow our customers to feel a freer base with their financials. Acknowledging cultural, religious, adhering to geographical differences is also another aspect that we did come together and say, this is something that we need to adjust. We need to focus on what we're trying to do and who we're trying to approach. The expansion of Del Norte Credit Union is a very big deal for New Mexico. It's a very big deal for the National Laboratory, and that's something that, as a living in Albuquerque, New Mexico, is something that I personally support. I've never been to Los Alamos, but I definitely have heard all the great things they've done there and all of their nuclear developments, scientific developments, and innovation technology that they have created for our government, our military, and our homeland security. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and have a great day.